I've just met Dom down on the Eco Village in Kew. Hello, Dom.
Hello, mate.
Nice to meet you, and thanks for having a chat with me. So, as you know, like what I've said to you, I've just popped down today just to have a chin, see what it's all about and stuff. So, you know, I know you've been down here for how long?
I've been here for about 3-4 months.
3-4 months, yeah. And this, as you just told me, this was a shack that was already up, yeah.
Yeah, it was already up because, like, what we've been doing, like, since I've been here, there's a building over that way which is called the Mansion, and people either have been staying in there or the communal space, which is the big bender. And then when some space comes free or available, and people have been here working hard and getting involved with the group, they're allowed to stay in a bender.
Okay.
And
so these are called benders, right?
Yeah.
Basically? Okay.
Because they've got the wood, it's bent over, tied up, all the rugs and everything are put over the top and the tarps over, and this one's got a wood burner in it.
Yeah, so I noticed that as well. Yeah,
it's lovely and warm.
Yeah, and so no, it's not like. Is there like a? I don't want to say hierarchy on the thing, but is there, like, you know, a group of guys that are, you know what I mean? How can I word like not like a government, do you know what I mean? But there's like main people that have been here longest, that they can sort of decide, like, yeah, that's your bender, or
there is a group of people here that people do look up to more, but there isn't nobody that claims to be any kind of an authority type figure.
In charge.
Yeah, no, because, like, the way I see it is, I'm my own authority. I construct myself as long as I'm honourable at most times, and, like, deal with things as they go. But if you start having, like, somebody dictating to you, it's going to cause an upset. But what we do is we have meetings and we have a consensus, and then the consensus is, it's not a rule, it's just a request.
Yeah.
So what I've seen here is a lot of people do go and have the meetings and then totally ignore the consensus. So
totally.
it's rather strange, the meetings.
And then so in relation to this one's been here about a year.
Yeah, 11 months. Yeah.
And from some of the characters that I've met today, obviously still you've got many different walks of life coming into an environment, as just like society, and a lot of people have got different views, right? Like what we were speaking about.
Yeah, of course,
earlier.
Yeah. That's what makes a community.
That's what makes the community, right? Which is great, yeah, so that's good. And would you say, in your experience on an eco village, there's more understanding or empathy, or a bit more better communication?
Well, the way I see it, it's like with the outside sort of like world, you've got a lot more people. With here, it's a tight community, so you've got all walks of life, and it's quite intense because you've got very passionate people that live here about what they believe in, and when you get that many passionate people, it can clash. But I think it's wonderful. Yeah. Since I've been here, it's like, it was great energy when I first come here. Just when I walked off site to go back to stay at my mates, it was just, no, I want to go back there. And then I've just come back and then ended up integrating to being here permanent.
So you're buzzing off the energy from here, like you said. A lot of people are quite passionate and so on. And what would you say the general message of this eco village, or no, because you know you've been in many, right? So just the general message of an eco village. I'm sure it's broad.
I haven't been in many eco villages.
No.
This is the first time I've ever stepped this far outside the system.
Yeah.
And
perfect.
That is basically because. With what I'd studied and everything, I come here, I was on the Facebook group from near enough to start. I was sending them messages, but I was living up north and I never got any replies. And then when I come back to London, a few of my friends from up north come down and said they wanted to go to the eco village. And I come here and it was eco village, but it was like a activism breeding camp. It was like, I see what was happening. It was like, this fits me so well.
Yeah.
And it's a great step outside the system. And I thought, this is for me.
Yeah.
So I took that huge leap.
Okay. So you'd been doing the research, and from our conversation, you're quite knowledgeable in a number of things. So you wanted to get out of society.
Yeah, well, their society, the law society.
The law society, yeah. And I spoke to somebody earlier. What's your main reason for wanting to get out of society? If there's
a bit of freedom, because the way I see it, from a very young age, we are duped. We're taken away from. Well, our parents are duped. The whole system, everyone, I believe, is duped because. Well, if you don't mind me going into the law side, it's basically they've set up this system of control, and they start it with the birth certificate. Your parents submit an application of registration, and to submit is to give up. Application is to beg and to know what you're begging for, and registration is transfer of ownership. These are definitions from the Black's Law Dictionary. So what you're doing when you're signing these forms, you're begging to give up ownership. Now, what the government do is under law of the sea, not common law, which is law of the land, under Admiralty Maritime Law, they put salvage rights on it. And they've used the berth as a commodity to back the value of the pound. Now, that birth certificate is basically a stock share. You hold it up to light, it's printed on bonded paper. Only bonds are printed on bonded paper. It says at the bottom, this is not to be used as identification. So you think, well, what's this for then?
Yeah.
And you start finding out that basically that is the tool that they use to enslave you.
Yeah.
Because all the statutes and acts are acting upon the person, and the person being the birth certificate, not you. Because you look at the legal definition of person, it's a corporation stroke legal fiction.
Yeah.
And they need you to consent to be in that before they can act upon you.
Yeah.
And when I come here, it's like, no statutes and acts are being enforced here.
Yeah.
This is for me. It's like, as long as you don't cause harm, loss, fraud, or breach of the peace,
Yeah.
that's it. So I thought, this is for me.
Okay, this is good, and also I can exercise, the information and knowledge that I now have found and come across.
Well, that's what I hoped.
And would you say, I know you feel strongly about this, but is this, how would you, if you had a dream, not a dream, but you know what I mean, how would you hope it to work or hope it to pan out? Not now, maybe in the coming years.
Well, the plan is we're going to take another field on whatever you want to label it, Freeman on the land principles, or lawful rebellion, common law, or whatever you want to see it. But we're going to take a land and use it on them principles, because basically we was told here that we can do what we can with the court because the eviction order was served, so we can do what we know because we got nothing to lose by trying it.
Yeah.
Because everything else that's been tried before is the same thing.
Yeah.
You go in, you beg and plead, and they give you 7 days, get out.
Yeah.
Now, if the consensus of the group was you may as well try it, got nothing to lose, and then come the day of the court, 2 people just was very vocal about it, saying you'll make people look like madmen and you won't give them a chance to speak. All we wanted to do was go in there, ask the judge to honour his oath. He wouldn't be able to because he wanted a commercial court instead of a law court, and basically we would have got it overturned to a higher court at a later date. But these people went in there, begged and pleaded for a few hours, and when they signed the paperwork as defendants, then a defendant pleads, and pleading is begging. It's that they've basically accepted what the claimants have to say as a defendant, and they're totally in their jurisdiction.
So in relation to you saying that the courts would think that you're or the group, for example, the Eco Village group, would think that you was that the courts would think that everybody's mad. Yeah. So just explain to me what. So isn't that a way to cover it up?
Well, it could well be. It could be. You know what I mean?
Like the courts would just go, okay, these guys are talking absolute nuts. Let's just they're crazy.
Yeah. Well, basically, that's the opinion of 2 of the people here. That they was trying to say would make everyone look like madmen. Whether they were saying it would be the courts to make everyone look mad, I don't know. But the statements we put in were affidavits, and they're basically unrebuttable. We're basically using their legal definitions, their terms, and telling them what our understandings of it are. And basically, where they're serving an eviction order, I was happy to accept their order upon my fee of £10 billion. Now, they wouldn't be able to accept that. They would have had to have turned it over to a higher court. I just wanted to get some extra months so we can get more into this to try and win back the land from the corporations, because a corporation is defined as a fiction. Property is the legal title. Any legal title is fiction. So what they really own is nothing. They own fiction. It's not true. So how can anything that's defined as a fiction actually operate in truth and trust and equity? Do you know what I mean? There's nothing
so
there.
In other words, what you're saying is that fundamentally the land isn't theirs to tell anybody to get off of.
Yeah, it's basically, well, the Queen is holding it in trust until a competent heir comes back from God to claim it back. So there's a big con game for you, and it's like somebody's going to come back and say, yes, I'm Jesus Christ, I claim all this land back. All right, where's your proof of claim? You know what I mean? It's just a con game for them to hold the land.
To hold the land, control it, charge it out and so on. Really interesting stuff, and you've, like you said, you've done your research, which is good. So do you think that the minds of the systems that are in control at the moment, the minds of the governments and, for example, the royalty and so on, are ever or will ever open their minds to these concepts?
I think all the way up the levels, very high. You know what I mean? As you look at it, I've talked to many police officers, court officials, chief clerk of the justice system, very high sort of like status people, and I believe they're all being duped because they don't know this stuff. It's pointed out to them, and they think, is this guy just chatting crap, or has he got something? So the people that I've talked to have got like the huge law books. They go and look it up and go, oh my god, this guy's telling the truth. You know what I mean? We are living in a corrupt system. So the police are taught to do a process, and they're taught that basically it's given the force of law if it's done correctly, but if it's not done correctly, then it's not given the force of law. But they're not told what the force of law is, how it's actually thinking. So they're going around filling all these tickets out and the rest of it. People are going, okay, signing it and agreeing to it. It's just a contract. Do you know what I mean? They don't realise everyone's being duped into this commercial system, which is actually the law of the sea, not the common law, which is the law of the land. So I truly believe it goes all the way up to a very, very high level, and maybe it goes all the way to the Rothschilds. Do you know what I mean? And they're the ones sitting there laughing, going, look at all these, we're controlling them like without having to do anything.
It's interesting you bring that up, because I said to you something earlier, and I just asked you this again, but one of the things that from what I see and what I've seen today, and what I also see just in general in society, is that, you know, it's difficult not to get caught into another drama. Wouldn't you agree? Because, you know, you have this new belief and a strong belief and so on, and then all of a sudden, you know, like the story you told me recently, you know, you're trying to exercise the truth and using these things, but the people you're even speaking to, whether it be the police, whether it be community support officers, whether it be the judge, whether it be these people, they don't actually know it. So all of a sudden you're almost trying to not necessarily recreate the wheel, but you're trying to share knowledge with them, which maybe they don't. One, they don't know. Two, are they going to go home and do the research? Do you see what I mean?
So on one of our last arrests, the last couple of times, we've basically been going in there and teaching the police what we know. And at first they think, you know what I mean, they are the authority. So by what we're telling them, sometimes they do get a bit angry because we're taking away what they've been told to be true, and they're like, they can't accept it. But as it goes through, they go off and it goes up the chain, and then I see it come back down the chain. They stop talking to us because they're not allowed to. They've been told, don't talk to them anymore, blah blah blah, because obviously the people higher up in the police station do know this stuff. I've spoke to sergeants and that, and they've basically admitted to me that common law is no harm, loss, fraud or breach of the peace. Everything else is a statute and act and requires consent. So when you're getting told this by the sergeants down the City of London, you sort of like realise that at certain levels they do know this. But like I've also spoke to PCSOs where they're like, one guy said to me, we're only trained in cycling law. I was like, what is cycling law? And he goes, well, it's a bylaw. And I said, well, a bylaw is defined as a rule of a corporation. So you have to be a member of that corporation before their rules bind you. And I'm not a member of that corporation, so I don't consent to it. And he's like, well, I totally agree with you. And then we went into like the police are registered corporations and the courts are registered corporations, and the police don't even know that they are a registered corporation trading for profit. And some of them have got multiple CCJs, so how can they be operating a business for profit and also have multiple CCJs? It's just such an illusion that we're living in.
Such a mad system that we're living in. And you mentioned something earlier, just tap on this just finally, because I know I'm asking you a lot of stuff, but you mentioned something about when a society, when a government is in debt, then you have no right over the money.
Yeah. Basically, where we're in debt, we have no money of value in existence, so they have to supply a remedy. Now, if you get sent an electricity bill or something like that, at the bottom you've got like a slip that you're supposed to send off back to them. It's a trans cash gyro. So it's a trans cash gyro. It's basically, that's the remedy, because whoever supplies the liability has to supply the remedy, because we're in bankruptcy, and the remedy will be your signature, because that is the only thing that holds value. So what you can do, in accordance to the Bills of Exchange Act, you can request a true bill, and that is the true bill. You can accept it for value, sign with your signature, and it comes out of your birth certificate, which is a stock share, and it gets paid off. It's like, obviously they don't want you to know this. They want you to fill out your name and everything on there and the amount, so they can dip into your trust fund, plus you're sending them a cheque on top of that, so you're paying them twice and interest. It's fraudulent, it's double bookkeeping, it's all sorts of things are going on that I'm actually quite sick of. And
I think a lot of people are. And do you think you said there's 2 other eco villages, but do you think this is going to be, we're going to start seeing more eco villages?
Definitely. And when we've claimed it, on a lawful right and prove that we can do this lawfully as human beings or whatever, but not the persons, obviously.
Yeah.
But when we do it, other people are going to be able to do it and not have to know the intenseness or have to study the law stuff. They'll be able to live freely by just pointing at the case law and saying, look, there you go.
Yeah, this is how I'm living.
Yeah, by just pointing at the case.
So you're living in hope?
I wouldn't say hope, because I do feel change. Yeah. I actually can feel change. Good. Even though at the moment with this site there's been a lot of energy ripped out of the place because of the emotions and the rest.
Yeah.
And as I said, when I first come here, it was like such a place to be. It just warmed you.
Yeah.
But
do you feel that's gone because of the recent court case saying that they've got to leave? You've got 7 days to move out, right?
Yeah, so everyone's upset, especially myself, because I wasn't allowed to perform and do what I felt I needed to do, which actually I felt betrayed. I felt used, because like there was the consensus of basically just do what you're doing because like we've got nothing to lose, rather than try something else. And then the morning of the court case, I just said, well, go and do what you're doing, but I'm telling you now, the order's been served. So therefore, all they want you to do is be defendants, tick the boxes, and then you'll be out. Simple.
7 days out.
And I was right. Which ain't, you know what I mean? I don't want to say told you so, but I knew it was going to happen. Which is, it rips part of your heart out. It's like, how can I basically, you know what I mean? I want to love everyone, and how can you do it when you feel betrayed? It's so hard to do.
Totally. Okay, well, Dom, thank you very much for your time, and I'm going to speak to a couple other people, and I hope to see more eco villages too.
Yeah, me too.
Thanks very much.
Definitely.